welcome to AvidCarpers DVD. We're here on Oxley's Lake on the Linear Complex in Oxfordshire. So within the next hour or so we're going to show you some edges and some tips from the Avid team. Hopefully they'll make you catch some more fish in the future. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Ian, who's had a couple of fish overnight.
There we go. Got here probably an hour before dark yesterday evening, so we didn't have much time to prepare the swim. So all I'd done, my tactics were have a quick lead around with the spod rod for lead on it because of the braid, clipped it up when I found the edge of the weed, wrapped it around the poles. I think it was about 18 lengths, rod lengths, clipped 2 bombs to it, put solid bags on the bombs, spotted 20 times on it. An hour overnight it turned into a fish. It's not a big fish, but it's a carp, isn't it? You can't pick what picks it up. So I'm going to slot this one back, and the next time you see me, I'll run through a bit more in depth as to the way I attack these waters for quick overnighters and fast results. See you in a little bit.
Lovely little stocky to start with. Cracking little fish. Spawning, kind of little red marks. I'm getting back. I've got the new stops to show you. We've made the sight stops in 10mm and we've made them floating, which gives you a lot more versatility of the bits you can do to your rigs. I'll show you. I've got it here. I've got a dumbbell. I've just took the top off and the 10mm matches in perfectly with the size of any dumbbell. The more of the dumbbell you cut down, the more buoyant it becomes. It means that you can create any buoyancy to your hook bait, take away the weight of the hook, and you can add it to any of your baits. In conjunction with the 10mm sight stops, we've also now created a maggot stop. There's so many maggots being used in carp angling today that any bait tipped with a maggot is going to look a lot more natural. We've got 5 different sizes and we've done them in 4 fluorescent colours. Each comes with a short and a long stem variety, and as you can see there, a small PVA bag rig, and I've tipped off my bait with a nice little white maggot. Great addition to any hook bait. Right, many of you have asked for us to do the corn stops in a floating. We've succeeded this year, and we've also got them in a slightly larger one, which is a maize stop. Good for the European anglers. You can create your balanced baits and your bigger baits. An excellent addition to the range. Right, we've seen the new buoyant hook baits. All it leaves me to do now is put on stocking and cast my favourite one into the lake. All I'm going to do for the stocking is use Sonny Baits PVA friendly hempen corn, which comes in a tin, ready to roll straight away. It's the best stuff I've ever used. So all I'm going to do is hook it on, close the latch, thread it down, and cast him out. Perfect.
I do a lot of overnighters between work, a lot of short trips. I like to catch fish, not sit around doing nothing when I'm fishing. 3 different setups I use. The first one incorporates our little transfer bags, a drop-off bomb, and whatever one of these 3 little rigs that you want to put in it really. Again, we're emphasising on getting bites fast here. So the PVA reaches the bottom. I'll give it a quick dunk in one of our dip systems. Now this will coats the PVA in the oil, make it reach the bottom. Over about 12 foot, solid bagging can be a problem where it melts on the way down. You'll know that because the lead will accelerate, but to get round that, nice little dip, swill it around, chuck it out. It also enhances the attraction in the area, obviously where your bag's going to land. Okay, and lovely pile of little pellet, with a hook bait right in the middle of it. That is a must. Second one, if I want to use a pop-up, they're all very short rigs these, and I really am in favour of late of short little rigs. So this is a tiny little pop-up rig. Dumbbell bait, sliding ring on there as a blowback, and this is some of our sort of tiger feed pellet ground down, and a tiny little braided hook link. Again, I'd give it everything I do, quick bites again, lovely little swill around in the oil stroke dip. Okay, again it makes sure the PVA hits the bed of the lake and gives it a lovely boost of attraction, okay? Number 2 out of the way. The third one, this is made up again of a nice little curved hook, braid again, and what I've done here is I've cut one of our bright zig lights in half and put on it a corn stop. Actually it's a sight stop. Same thing, with a little hook on the end, pulls it into the centre of the bait. That balance is lovely, and it's almost the size of like a 10mm bait. But that again, PVA bag full of powder. I don't want to feed these fish, it's just a burst of attraction. I'll give that a lovely little swill round again. Like I said twice before, hits the bed of the lake, burst of attraction, pulling the fish in. And when I started this, it was get bites. I don't want to be sitting around waiting, I want to catch bites fast, go home in the morning, happy chap. So carp fishing, use these in it, chuck them out with your dip, and you're going to get bites.
Even the biggest rat I've ever seen.
I had one come in with Vivi once at Hardwick, and it sounded like there was 10 things running, because his feet were going so quick across the ground shade. I thought, what bloody hell is that? And I looked around and I couldn't find nothing, and then I looked under the bed and there it was, all curled up. I had to get my boot and like hockey stick it out.
There we go, second fish of the morning. I've changed tack on this one a little bit, which again, we'll talk about a little bit later. So we've had 2 fish now, both on different tactics, but both what we used last night for quick bites. I'm going to show you the other side of this one, because it's a bit scaly on that. These are real pretty little fish, these. Look at that, that is a lovely carp, which will be a big one in the future. Right, just because you're short session carping doesn't mean to say you're not going to put freebies out when you're there. Now my spot mix is all based around high attraction. You're not going to put buckets and buckets of it out, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So the basis of this is initially tiger feed pellet. Now this is such a shame it's not smell-o-vision. It smells like almonds, it's beautiful, that stuff. I got right into that lately. Now that's your base of it. That will stodge it up once we get to the fluid. This will give it a bit of cloud. Nice bit of, coinciding ground bait to go with it. And the fluid comes from the mix. Brad, Emp & Corn, PVA friendly this is. And look at that, that is lovely, isn't it? Nice, shiny, fresh. Open it, you can mix this up 5 minutes before you need it, otherwise the Emp dries out and it doesn't perform quite well. But there you go. That's been knocked up about 15 minutes ago. Now that is lovely. So here we go, short session. Now also, the match guys use these all the time. There is massive crossover into our carp fishing now with these heavily stocked venues. What we're trying to do with this, the spot mix, is make it as powerful as possible. Again, we're only here short term, so we want as much pungent smell coming off this as possible. 2 I use here, the tiger feed, or like a salami sausage sort of smell this is, it's so powerful. So get these in there, stir it all up, give it a good mix up. Now if you're fishing right in the edge, you can throw a few balls of that in, and if you're not, out of air range spods, the easy load system, but I'll go into that a little bit later. I'll fill that. Now a dozen of them in your area, you're going to get bites and you're going to get fish. Well, the first night I treated as an overnighter and just fished bags and a dozen spods. Yesterday afternoon I spent an hour or two with the bucket there and the spod and put out a fair bit of bait, clips them all accurate so you're back on the same spot all the time. And this morning I've had 4, so I will emphasise though, it's not fishing very well. The fish that are coming out are the smaller stamp, but at the end of the day they're carp. So there's one of them, that's the best of the 4. They are the smaller stockfish, but we are here catching carp and that's what matters. So getting it all clipped up and getting it back on the spot has brought me 4 bites in quick succession this morning, and they're still out there eating now. Yeah. And that's going now, so John, deal with this one. There is one on it. Right, this is the second take. I think we're on about, I don't know, I'm sort of losing count now. This is 6 or 7 takes in the last couple of hours. Second take is we've literally just netted that one that you've seen, or you're going to see, and this one has plodded off. Now this feels a much smaller fish, but it's a carp, so again, all that baiting up yesterday is paying off big time now. Oh, and it fell off in the edge. Now that was a tiny little fish, so we're not too worried about that. I reckon that was about 2 or 3 pounds, wasn't it? So, but we've got better stamps here. So what we'll do is, we'll get some normality back in the peg and deal with the fish we've got in the net. And there you just had a double take. So with the way this weather's going though, by lunchtime, it's bright sunshine, a nice bit of breeze. I think we'll be on zigs by lunchtime, but there you go, look at that lovely little mirror carp. That is why you spend a couple of hours spodding if you know you've got a couple of nights to string together. Not the biggest in the world, but arguably lovely, lovely fish. Now what I'll do now is I'm going to slot him back, because it's carnage down there where the rods are, having had 2 at once, and reset the swim. So there you go.
The chod rig is probably the most popular and the most effective boilie fishing presentation in modern carp fishing. And AvidCarp have come up with some beautiful little products to help you fish these rigs more effectively. This, of course, is the original chod bead, which can be semi-fixed anywhere on the line. It's a totally safe product. This top bead here will come off and the rig will slide off should you crack off or lose the fish for any reason. At the end here you can see another new product. The AvidCarp chod buffer just covers the swivel on the lead nicely, gives you a little hinge, make sure that lead is nailed to the bottom, and so is all your line. But if you don't want to fish that chod bead fixed, you want your chod rig to move around a little bit, you'd probably be interested in this little gem. This here is a flying chod bead. Now what that does is enables you to fish the rig sliding on the line. So if you want it to rise up 6 feet because the weed's 6 foot deep, or just a couple of feet because you think the silt's quite soft, then you can do that. It will just slide up to it, no problem. Again, it's safe. A little bead goes over the stopper. You just cannot beat it. That is as safe as it gets, and it's totally bespoke. You're not getting different products and putting them together to try and make one yourself. We've done all that for you. We've done the testing, and we've come up with a product that's totally safe and very, very effective. And if you like that, you're going to like this one even more, because on a lot of venues now the water's so clear, you might be on a deep lake, you want all of that line nailed to the bottom, and that's where the weighted flying chod bead comes in. As you can see there, that's finished in the same finish as an AvidCarp lead, nice camouflage, the fish aren't going to know that's there, fits neatly over a little stopper, mega safe again, and what it means is that line will just sink down behind your highlight hook bait, which you should be using. Brilliant little buoyant hook bait for chod rig fishing. It'll sink all the line down, it'll sink your hook bait as well, take everything with it. Your line is nailed to the bottom, ready to catch a whacker. So don't wait, get on them.
Earlier on I mentioned the spods. In the Avid Air range we've got two types but two lengths. We've got these, a solid one, and the one with the holes in for your pellets, hemp and all that, but we've got a shorter version on each one. So let's look at this one first. Solid one, so, fluids, boilies,